All right. Good afternoon, Alliance family. My name is Chris Norris. I run Integrity Wealth here in North Carolina. I have the privilege of running TWC on this eve of NatCon. So again, if you don't have tickets yet, please get tickets to NatCon. Come to Dallas, meet everybody. We would love to see everybody in Dallas, and looking forward to it for those that are coming. Again, we've got some special guests on today. We're going to talk about estate planning. We're going to talk about debt remediation. We're going to let Mo Dadkhah and Armen Taityants introduce themselves here in a minute. But we want to talk about realistically why is this important? I'm going to give you guys some stats kind of on what's going on. Most of you guys are doing Medicare, exploring Medicare. Let's talk about that wealth transfer everybody's been talking about, right? You're talking about, $84.4 trillion moving to heirs. They projected that $2.5 trillion moved in 2025. So for the next 25 years, there is a large wealth transfer going on. That wealth transfer is driving, the baby boomers are driving the estate plan market, right? Because again, they're trying to figure out what to do with the assets they're inheriting. They're trying to figure out what to do with the debt that they're accumulating. So again, this is a very relevant topic. So without further ado, I'm going to let Mo introduce himself, then I'll let Armen introduce himself, and you guys can kind of go from there. So Mo Dadkhah, welcome.
Hi, Chris. Hi, everybody at Alliance. Nice to see all of you that I have not met yet before. I've met a lot of you. My name is Mo Dadkhah. I am President and Chief Legal Counsel of Integrated Trust Systems that I'll be talking about a little bit later today. I also am the principal and owner of the Dadkhah Law Group that does all the legal work for Integrated Trust Systems.
Great. Thanks, Mo. Armen, you want to introduce yourself and kind of tell everybody a little bit about what you do?
Hey, Chris, thank you. What's going on, Alliance? Armen Taityants, Director of Business Development with Mediator Debt Solutions. I've been in this industry now about 15 years. I'd say enrolled north of about $1 billion worth of debt. So excited to be on the call. Thank you for having me, and I'm looking to forward to adding some value to everyone that's joining us. Thank you, Chris.
Perfect. So Armen, why don't you share with us maybe what you guys do on a daily basis, where you can help agents, kind of where the markets come from and why you guys are doing that?
Sure. So I'm going to put up a visual really quick. I think I need a...
Yep, I'm getting ready. I was getting ready to do that. So just 1 second. Let's see if we can give them... Can we give Armen permission to share, and Mo at some point as well, please?
And we're going to go over quite a few important key points, right? Obviously, we're going to address what's going on presently in the economy, what's going on with the debt, and kind of why it's getting out of hand, and and not to look for somebody to blame, but just to understand what's going on and why it's important to have this conversation. All right, there we go. Thank you.
So you should be good, Armen. Yep.
Thank you. So right now, we have, there's a lot that's going on, right? So if we're sitting down, and I put myself in an agent's shoes, and now I'm sitting down with a family, right? At some point, we're going to be going over their financial needs analysis and understanding their circumstances, their money, their assets, liabilities, all of the above. At some point, we're going to figure these things out. So one thing we got to keep in mind as we're going through this information is that a stressed out consumer that's drowning in debt is less likely to buy insurance, right? So what's going on right now? Well, right now we got Fortune 500 companies and many, many others that are still laying people off, right? Now, we understand from managing a business perspective, there's a reason why they're doing that, right? It's for their bottom line, but there's tens of thousands of people that are losing their jobs. So you got to think about what that does to a household, what that does to their budget, to their, to their financial planning, right? Our national debt as a country, we hit an all-time high, $38.5 trillion. That's problematic. Right, that's problematic. We're going to pay close to $970 billion in interest this year. Right, so these are the types of things that are happening right now in the market. I know that the big word on the street is rate cuts. The reality is that if they cut rates 3 more times, America is not getting out of debt. We have to understand that it's not a direct 1-to-1 ratio, right? So now, Cost of living inflation. Again, we have to look at what's going on, and I know they're throwing out some numbers, year over year. But if we go back to 2020, that's not very long ago. I mean, we're up 20 to 25% on everything, right? So we got to factor these things in. People incomes aren't following that trajectory. Credit card debt right now is at $1.3 trillion. Not long ago, it was under $1 trillion, right? So we're at 1.3 trillion, all-time high. Really, interest rates are up there with an all-time high. And what it's doing is it's stressing the American consumer out. It's draining their money. They're not keeping their hard-earned cash. And as a result, that customer, in my opinion, is less likely to buy anything, right? Let alone think about financial planning in the future. So it's important to understand these things and see how we can, mediate that and provide a solution. And then, of course, we look at the housing market, the automobile market. I mean, everything is down the drain right now. So people are hurting. And I don't believe there's been a better time in America to have a conversation with anybody about debt than today. It is literally, Andy talks about the 3-foot rule, right? It is literally one of the most easiest conversations that you could start, whether you're sitting down in a household or you're talking to somebody outside and you're networking, right? The reality is there's no easier topic to talk about than to finances, to bring people in, to establish a connection, to establish a level of trust, and to ultimately help them. And then we're going to talk about what that's going to do and what that's going to mean to your business. Now, one of the other things, we mentioned about some challenges that we're having right now. And one of the things that I address, and that I think it's important is that urgency is important, right? We talk a lot about how you don't have to sell our product. The urgency is built in. Like if I'm paying $2,500 a month in credit card bills, I am open-minded, right? To see if I can cut that payment in half and maybe get out of debt. So if you look at some data here, if you look at our industry, when I got involved in this industry and you said debt settlement, people didn't know what that meant. On the flip side of the coin, today, we got more families joining essentially a program like ours to resolve their debt. Now, the million-dollar question is why? What's going on? What's changing, right, in the marketplace? Are people taking late-night classes on financial literacy? Like, what's really going on? And the reality is this: it's a very simple concept. It's a level of pain that we're willing to tolerate. When the rates started to go up, what people don't realize is that we raised the rates 11 times. We raised the rates 11 times in a 6-month window. We did that with the hopes of that people stop spending money. Unfortunately, they didn't. They ran out of credit card debt, which I'll address that in just a second. And then they moved on to buy now, pay later, and all these other crappy type of loans. So this data is important for a couple of reasons. Number one, it's showing us that right now, timing in America to have this conversation could not be better. Ever in the history of America, there's never been a time to talk about debt solution with any prospect. And we're looking at a 2,500% increase of people getting involved in programs from 2012 to 2020. And I promise you, these numbers aren't going to ease up and be relaxed. So if you look at who's advertising right now, like the really big companies, who they're paying to educate the consumer. We got Shark Tank guys, we got Robert Herjavec, we got Damon John, we have Mario Lopez, right? Not the first guy that comes to your mind to educate people about finances. But what's going on is that these big companies are understanding a trend and they're understanding timing. And they're saying, hey, we got to get this message out there to masses. How do we do it? We hire celebrities, we do this. So we're already seeing all this activity. And these guys know a thing or two about, trends and markets and understanding things. So that's really what's happening with timing. Now, on the flip side, one of the big questions we're going to answer on this call is what can we do for the consumer? Watch this. During COVID, we print $5 trillion. We pay down our national credit card debt from 2020 to 2021. And we're like, hey, this is a good thing. Simultaneously, we saved a bunch of money, right? We had over $2.1 trillion in savings, all of us combined. The moment lockdowns were lifted, we spent all of our credit, not some of it, not half of it, all of it in record time, and we spent all of our savings in record time. And I'm not trying to be, condescending towards what happened, but the moral of the story is that we as people are professional spenders, and people desperately need help. They need structure. They need a plan of some sort. And that's really where we come in, right? We get into that equation to be able to assist them with that. And that's really important for us to realize that, because when we're talking about the economy, when we're talking about protecting families, right, you have to remember that this is an additional tool to everything that you're doing right now as an agent. This is not supposed to replace what you're doing, right? It works together. When we look at adding value, or when we're looking at, reinforcing what you already do, like, how does it translate? Well, look at it this way. Imagine you're helping your client get out of $75,000 in credit card debt. Imagine they were paying $2,100 per month every single month, just minimum payments, right? And imagine that they got in that situation because there's various reasons why people accumulate debt. Not everybody just goes out and spends money carelessly. A lot of times people are dealing with increased cost of goods. A lot of times people are dealing with unemployment, losing their job, right? We covered all the statistics about people losing jobs, about life being more expensive. And what we're doing is we're subsidizing over time our lifestyle with credit cards, right? And then we arrive at a point where the credit card company got us exactly where they want us. They got us stressed out, paying minimum payments, not getting out of debt. So now imagine you have that opportunity, that family sitting in front of you, and because you introduced them to us, we're able to take that $2,100 and lower that payment to about $1,100. What does that mean to that family, right? So now you got a plan in place for them to resolve their debt, because my argument is, how long is enough? Like, how long should you be paying your minimum payments for? 10 years, 15 years, until you say, you know what, enough is enough. Now I got to do something. In my opinion, any years is too much, because none of that gets you out of debt, right? That's why people are stressed out. And then ultimately, they end up on the doorsteps of bankruptcy or worse. So what's going to happen is, not only you're going to save that person from bankruptcy and insanity and a lot of stress, but now you just put $1,000 back into their budget. Well, what does that mean? What Andy likes to call it, that means permanent dollars available for you as an agent to go out there and to sell more insurance. And now you can talk about protecting the family and doing all these other things. But it's really difficult. It's really hard for us to just focus a lot of times when we don't have things in our house in order. Financially, relationships wise, whatever the case is, that's just a fact. And money is the biggest stress factor. So when you're fixing that in a household, you got yourself a good, loyal customer that not only will buy insurance from you, but that will lead to more business, more networking, more referrals. Remember, people do business with people they like and trust. Do you think they're going to like you if you save somebody $1,000 a month? That's $12,000 a year that they were throwing down into the garbage. And a lot of folks, they feel stuck because life is getting more expensive, interest rates are climbing, and every month their debt is climbing in the opposite direction. Every month, the only solution for an average guy is to go get a third job. Right? Remember, there was a push they made once, I'd say about 6-7 months ago, where they said, hey, net jobs are up. Well, net jobs were not up. They were counting people that were working 3 jobs each, right? So like the reality is that actual jobs is less, but we got a lot of people picking up second jobs and doing side gigs just to keep up with inflation, just to keep their head above water and potentially, keep out of bankruptcy, right? So just understand, this is a really good service on your platform that's going to literally allow you to do whatever you need to do a little faster, a little more efficient. The beauty of it is none of you have to become a debt settlement expert. The reason this partnership works and what we do for you, it's because how simple it is. Like, I'm not a fan of a complicated process, because now I'm going to be taking away from you, right? And that's not what we want to do. We want to add value. We want to make it super simple. We want to give you the best support, right? A lot of you guys already have my number, right? So like, literally in the morning, the text messages start coming in, and guess what? I love it, because that's engagement. That's literally how I like to operate. So there's a couple other things that I want to talk about that we've introduced, and I know that Andy and I spoke about it. Social media is changing the way that we advertise, and the way that we network, and the way that we build our network. I got agents right now nationally that are doing individually what offices are doing collectively. And the reason they're able to do that is because they figured out how to use the tools that we have available for every single agent. So one is, the messaging on social media is powerful. And not only do you want to start sending that message and start networking and start expanding your network on social media, in conjunction with our tools, you're going to be able to generate leads. Literally, you will be able to generate leads. Our technology, it's free to you. It's going to help you capture these leads, and we're always evolving it. So we're literally working for you to help you generate new clients, new revenue, new everything that could lead into more insurance sales, more estate planning, more of everything, right? So, and quite frankly, if you get to the debt conversation on the green sheet, and you are patient and you stay on that topic, you'll be amazed what you discover. You learn everything you need to learn about somebody by talking about their finances. You're going to learn what their motivating factors are. You're going to learn what they like. You're going to learn what they don't like. You can figure all of that out if you're patient. A lot of us, we're not patient when we get there. We don't see the value. Right? I love what Jim Rohn says. He says, if something is valuable, we spend our money. If something is not valuable, we don't spend our money. He says, if something is valuable, we invest our time. If something is not valuable, we don't invest our time. So if we're skipping over that section, that just tells me that we don't believe that it's valuable. And I'm here to hopefully convince you otherwise, because the value of you learning about your client's finances, their hardship, their medical hardship, their circumstances, it's going to allow you to create a connection with them that you could otherwise maybe couldn't. Because that's what happens. You get them to open up, you get them to share. In the process, you get to learn everything you need to know about their affordability, their financial needs, what kind of protection they need. You get to learn all that anyways. But in the process, the side benefit is you build that connection, that trust, that loyalty. And that's priceless. So that's one of the best things that I've learned in my professional career. As far as a couple things here, I want to make sure that we're leaving everybody with a couple of closing thoughts, right? We talk about hundreds of millions of dollars that we're able to take off the streets. In the grand scheme of things, it's a drop in the ocean. But I want you to think about this. To that family, to that person that I described that had $75,000 in credit card debt, that was paying $2,100 a month, that now is paying $1,100 a month, to that person, it makes all the difference in the world. So yes, commission is great. Yes, referrals are great. All of these things are awesome, right? And you guys know where Andy ranks making money, right? It's after having fun, right? But here's the thing, guys. The impact that you're able to create in that person's life, they're never going to forget how you made them feel. That's a big deal. Even if the commission is a little bit, now you got your foot in the door. Now you've expanded your network a little more. Now you can sell the policy instead of a $200 premium. Now you could sell a $500 premium. How much money do you make on that? Right? So don't just chase money and say, oh, it's not enough, or I make so much more selling this. It's not about that. It's about all of these things working for your client together. And if you can achieve that, they're never leaving you, right? Why do you think State Farm bundles everything? So that you don't go buy motorcycle insurance from Allstate or somebody else. You buy everything from them. And they figured it out that if you buy more than one service from them, I think the magic number is 3. You got them for a long, long time. So anyways, I'm speaking insurance language. Let me get back to debt settlement. We got a couple minutes here left.
Hey, Armen, I just want to interrupt if I can. I try to be quiet on these calls, but it doesn't always happen. But you said some things that I think we want to repeat and make sure agents kind of hear it, right? I hear all the time, I've been in sales 30 years, if you guys don't know my background, but one of the things you always hear is from agents is, hey, the client doesn't have any money, right? I don't think that's true. I don't think they have any cash that they can reallocate somewhere else because of what you're speaking, right? Debt. Right. Mm-hmm. If we can show them a way to save dollars, that becomes a client for life. That's what you're talking about, right? You're talking about adding value. That client's not going to forget that you were able to save them $1,000 a month, $1,500 a month. But unless you ask the questions, right, we're never going to know, right? So it's much more the full service stand that we're trying to do. And I like your point too, right? This is an industry problem, right? The industry is not wanting you to get out of debt, right? They want to collect $9 billion worth of interest, right? And I think the more we understand of the industry and the way that we can help, I think that's where we can, help our clients. And you spoke of urgency. I mean, that's the other thing, timing. Timing is now, right? I mean, Andy says it, there's two times, like now and right now. We're at that right now point. So I just wanted to kind of reiterate that, kind of get your thoughts as well and let you keep going. But guys, I mean, this is powerful stuff. This is where you impact clients' lives.
I appreciate that, Chris. And it also, one of the things that we overlook is the value that we can add. I forgot who said this, but I don't want to butcher it, so I'm not going to give credit to anybody, but they said that people will forget what you did for them, but they will never forget how you made them feel. That's a big deal, right? So this is one of those things that's emotional. It's you're going to, if you get good at listening and you get good at asking open-ended questions and you get good at getting your client to open up to you, it doesn't matter what you're selling. You're going to learn everything you need to learn on how to properly assist that person. And in the process, you're going to build a relationship. And that's priceless, no matter what product you're selling. And the best part is this product doesn't have to be sold, right? Literally, you identify they got some debt. They're open to looking at some options to saving money. And then you refer them for a free consultation. I mean, the expectations are low. We're not signing them up. You're not underwriting them. You're not doing a medical exam. Nothing wrong against medical. I'm just saying it's such a simple handoff. And that's it. And no matter what questions you get hit with, the truth is that you can't answer these questions efficiently and honestly because there's a whole process we have to go through. We got to look at their credit. We have to look at their income, their assets, their liabilities, their utilization rate. What type of debt mix do they have? Is it only credit cards? Is it credit cards and collections? Do they have a repossession? There is so much that goes into it, and our guys are trained really well to kind of unpack everything, understand the client's needs, and all you have to do is use it as a conversation piece to build a meaningful connection with the client. Use it as an opportunity to create. Use it as an opportunity, the 3-foot rule Andy talks about, to network with people. There's no easier conversation than to bring people in by talking about finances. Like, hey, how are finances going right now? What a great question, right? Like literally anybody will talk to you if you just ask that, and just be interested in people, right? Dale Carnegie taught us a long time ago, be more interested in others than in yourself. And that's how you go out there and make friends and influence people. So this is pretty much all my key points that I wanted to cover. I did want to leave everybody with some additional contact information in case you haven't seen my training yet, in case you're not familiar, you would like to reach out. This QR code will get you to where you want to be. See the submission form, ultra simple. When I say it's simple, it is an understatement, right? Client's contact information, your contact information, NAA number, and you are done. That 877 callback number is a phenomenal number to help us connect with your clients. Sometimes we play phone tag. If I'm you, I'm getting the client on the phone because they got my number saved in their phone, and I'm three-waying them into that hotline. Somebody will answer the phone. The hardest thing to do in our job is to get them on the phone. Once we get them on the phone, we'll be able to help them out. Worst case scenario, guys, one of the things that you need to know about our company is that we have actual principles and values, our first shared value is always do what's in the best interest of the client. Right? So we're never going to sign somebody up just for the sake of signing somebody up, because we're not chasing money. That's not the point. We need to earn money, yes, and at some point we will, but that's not the mindset. The mindset is, can we help this customer? What kind of value can we add here? So that's the process. That's a good callback number. Don't give them that number if you haven't referred them, because then we won't be able to track it. So very important. Refer first through the system, and then equip them with that number. And then maybe you can help get involved and connect the clients with us. Bottom line is this, guys. More client savings equals more insurance business. I say we've done close to $400 million worth of debt now with our affiliate partners. I don't know what the number is of how much insurance was sold as a result of that, but what I can tell you is that out of that 400 million, we've created over 5 million a month in cash flow. Use your imagination. How much of that was reallocated towards insurance premium? I don't have the data. There's no way for me to quantify it, but I can venture to say that it's a pretty large percentage, and there are fortunes being made out of that revenue. At the same time, new relationships. Do you think that person with 75 grand that's saving money is not going to talk to their friends and family about you? So when you're saving your clients money, that's going to create future opportunities, future relationships, more business, more loyal clients, bigger book of insurance business. That's all I got.
Hey, Armen, I just want to throw it back a couple of things because I heard some stuff there. Make sure on the QR code, they got to put their name, right? Because that's the only way you guys track it. That would be the only way with NAA numbers and their name for you to get compensated, because there is compensation involved with this. Yes. The other thing is, you didn't say it, but do I need another license? Do we need to go through a training course? Do I need a license to do this?
A great question. And no, you do not need a license to refer clients to us, because this is not an insurance product.
Awesome. And you said the other thing that I think people want to, we don't want them talking debt remediation. We don't want them to talk about what you guys do, right? You guys handle that. All we need to do is find the client, have a conversation, and refer it over.
That is correct. So use it as a tool. Use it as a tool to start a conversation, but don't try to be the hero that sells the service. And remember, you're always selling a consultation. That's it. You identify they have debt. The only thing that you have the power to offer at that moment is a consultation. And speaking of selling consultations, the social media tools that we have, I'm going to be at the big event, so I encourage you guys to come and find me at the national convention, and we're gonna do a lot of these videos. But I'm not naturally a creative person. I'm not a writer. I don't think I wrote a single paper I'm just not a good student. I love to learn. I read. I'm not a creative guy. So maybe you're not creative, and sometimes people get stuck. They're like, social media, we got this link. What do we do? Remember this. People that follow you, they see your posts. Just because they didn't like your post, it doesn't mean they didn't see your post. I saw a post today that I didn't like, but I saw it, right? So now you got to say, okay, so how am I going to tailor the message? It's very simple. Every podcast, all the billionaires, celebrities, everybody's talking about debt and debt solutions. So they're already educating the consumer. They're creating that awareness for us by investing tens and tens of millions of marketing dollars. So what you want to do is you want to just have a from the heart, simple message, talk to your audience, and think about it. What is the pain point that you have today? At what pain point does a consumer have? Credit card debt that's out of control. They're stuck in credit card debt. Okay, so you tailor a message about credit card debt, and you talk to your audience. Hey guys, you might already know this, that I help people protect with insurance and this and annuities. What you may not know about me is I also can help people with their debt. So if you got some credit card debt and your interest rates are kind of high and you're not sure what to do with it, you feel stuck, we might be able to help. Use my link to get a free consultation. That's it. That's your script. A week later, you pick a different pain point. Repossessions are up 43%. You think those people are stressed out? Yes. You think they got credit card debt? Absolutely. You make another little short video. Hey, this time you talk about repossessions. Look, if we look at the country right now, we look at the statistics and what's going on with the automobile industry, our repossessions are skyrocketing. People are opening up repo companies to go because of the demand. So all of this is happening, and it's affecting Americans today at a level we haven't seen in the last 20 years. If you're struggling with this type of issues financially and you're not sure what to do with it, use my link, get a free consultation. So you see what I did there? I took 2 different pain points and I made a 30-second message, and all I offered was a free consultation. And you can do this with any debt category: private student loans, medical bills, collections, a little bit of everything, right? So there's a lot of debt out there. You just got to start talking to people about it. And if you're a builder, or better yet, if you're a leader and you have a large team, start duplicating, teaching everybody on your team to do the same thing. Because why? Because my network is warm to me. Your network is warm to you. Mo's network is warm to him. So if I'm duplicating and everybody's sending the same simple message, I am taprooting and I am networking like to the 10th degree, right? Using social media, the power of social media. So thank you for actually bringing me back just a few pages, because I think that was something that I didn't emphasize enough. We touched it, but we didn't really unpack it. So thank you for that, Chris.
No, you're great. And you talked about building. I mean, again, guys, recruit across the table, right? If you find these guys that are working a second job or even a third job, as Armen said, because they need to pay their credit card debt, if you're able to free up those dollars, that's money that can go to IULs, annuities, their retirement plan. But you also can free them from that second job. Maybe you can recruit them to our business. Put them in your downline, because again, they're not stressing. That opens the doors for so many different things. And again, you're bam famming, right? You're booking a meeting from a meeting. All you're trying to do is sell the appointment. Just like Armen said, guys. I mean, again, I think that this opens so many doors and opens so much from a freedom, from a cash flow standpoint. In cash flow, I'll kind of redirect to our next conversation. When you do estate planning, when you're doing financial planning, when you're doing debt planning, the problem with all these things is it's hard to do everything at once, right? If we've got so much debt, your clients are so focused on that. So again, because we have the tools, we can help them in all those facets. Mo, I'm going to turn it over to you, because again, I think these two things go hand in hand, but I want you to talk more on, what you guys do on the estate side. And then at the end, maybe we'll do some Q&A and talk more about where they go hand in hand. But again, it's hard to focus, on one thing or multiple things. We got to get one done at a time. So Mo, share with us kind of what you guys do, where you help the agents, and we'll kind of go from there.
Appreciate that, Chris. And by the way, guys, I've been an attorney for 16 years, really in 3 areas of law: real estate law, corporate law, estate planning law. I've come across a lot of debt settlement attorneys, a lot of debt settlement companies. I used to do a lot of foreclosure defense work. Nobody's like Armen and his team. I'm going to tell you guys right now, I met Armen. I asked him a lot of questions when I first met him. The most honest set of debt settlement business folks I've ever met. And I'm excited to work with Armen a little bit more. So I learned a little bit by listening to him. And they do go hand in hand. When it comes to estate planning and the estate planning side of what I do now, I work for a company called Integrated Trust Systems as their president and chief legal counsel. Prior to working with them, I was a traditional estate planning attorney. I was doing paper estate plans, paper trusts for my clients. Since meeting the folks at ITS, I've moved my clients and my own family's trust to a digital trust with Integrated Trust Systems. And what we do is we set people up to be able to make sure that their assets end up in the right hands after they've passed away. So what we do at ITS is set up, most of the time, revocable living trusts and all the ancillary documents that go into an estate plan. I'm going to give you guys a fun fact here. 3.1 million, it's not, the first part's not fun, the second part's fun. 3.1 million people pass away in the United States every single year. 2.6 million probate cases are opened every single year. That's a real problem. It's a big problem. And the problem is, first and foremost, education. Most of your clients and the people you know, and maybe those of you who are listening today, have no clue what you should have in an estate plan. Most people have no clue that just going to a traditional law firm will still put them into the probate scenario. And what is probate? Probate's a long, drawn-out court process that loved ones have to go through if parents or the people people setting up their trust don't have a properly created estate plan. I'm going to share my screen. I think I'm going to be able to share it and go through a couple different slides. I don't know if you guys have my slides, Chris, or if you just want me to share my actual screen.
If you'll just share your screen, Mo, that's probably the simplest. We do have them, but that way you can control it.
All right, sounds good. All right, guys, hopefully you can see my screen. So when it comes to estate planning, most people have three options on what to do with their assets. So you accumulate assets throughout your life. You really have three options. One is to do nothing, and you most certainly will end up in probate, or your loved ones will end up in probate. The second option that most people end up with is get a traditional will. And most people think a will alone is enough to avoid probate. It's not. A will is a one-way ticket to probate courts. If somebody has a will, and that's what most people have been taught is, oh, go get yourself a will. That's all you need. Their family will end up in probate. The third option is to set up a proper estate plan. And what we do is we set up the proper estate plan for your clients. We set up typically, again, a revocable living trust for most people. We'll do their powers of attorney for financial affairs if they end up incapacitated. We create medical directives. We create everything that would go into an estate plan. Now, most states across the country, if your client has assets that total above $100,000, they are eligible for probate. Some states are down to $30,000 or $40,000 of assets. Some states, are 70 or 75, but most states are somewhere at or near 100,000. Now, why do most people think that you need to be rich to have a trust? I think it's probably because of Hollywood, social media, movies, where people think of the term trust fund baby. They think, oh, to be able to have a trust, we must be rich. The reality is if you have more than $100,000 of actual assets, inclusive of the value of your own home, which across the country right now, almost everybody has, about $100,000 worth of net worth, without a properly set up estate plan, you end up in probate. So I always tell people, to Andy's 3-foot rule, which I love, by the way, as well, is all you have to do is ask people if they have an estate plan. When you're talking to somebody, say, do you have an estate plan? And if they say no, then they're a potential client for you. If they say yes, you simply ask them, well, what estate plan do you have? Do you have a will? Do you have a trust? Is your trust properly funded? These are all things that we'll teach you guys as you start to work with us. I work with a lot of your current colleagues at the Alliance. I can't see who's watching or who's listening, but I'm sure there's a couple of you that we've worked with, and we give you an education on how to actually have that conversation. But the reality is, once somebody has established that they need an estate plan, they really have two options. One is to go to a traditional law firm, and the second is to come to a platform like us that's more modern, more cost effective, and you'll see in a second provides more tools for the clients and more tools for you, the advisor. So when somebody goes to a law firm or used to come to me before working with ITS, what did I provide for them? I provided the same documents that we provide today for our clients as far as the legal documents are concerned. A revocable trust, durable power of attorney over your assets in case somebody's incapacitated. We provide medical directives in case somebody's in the hospital and something happens to them, and then some ancillary documents. ITS is not LegalZoom. We don't provide, LegalZoom-like levels of documentation that are very basic. We get very customized. I had a call yesterday where somebody had a family farm with cows and pigs and, all sorts of animals. We created a pet trust. I had another call yesterday with somebody who had someone suffering from a special need, and we set up a special needs subtrust for their autistic son. So we get very involved. Our level of documentation is at or above that a law firm provides. However, we have a magic potion that we provide that law firms cannot for your clients. We fund trusts, and funding is a pivotal part of probate avoidance that law firms just do not provide. And funding a trust means you assign assets to the trust. And most law firms are hands-off in this side of the estate planning. They force the clients to go and retitle every asset into the name of the trust, which is time-consuming for clients. Most of the time, the clients forget or don't fund their trusts and end up in probate anyways. So 95% of folks out there that have an estate plan currently that was set up at a law firm still need your help because their trust is probably not funded. Now, without getting into all the details, because we're short for time today, I want to talk a little bit about how we differ for you, the advisor, than your clients going to a law firm. So what we do with there we go. What we do with our advisors that are bringing clients to our platform, which is you folks, we include you in the entire process of the estate planning. We have you start the client off in our system. So you'll bring one of your clients into our system. It's almost as simple as Armen's initial guide. It's a couple extra steps, but about as simple as you can get. We'll take a name, we'll take an address, we'll take an email address, and then potentially, if they want to name their trust, the name of their trust. And that's it. Once that's submitted to us and the client is paid for their estate plan, we take it over from there until a final step, which is strategically set up to come back to you, the advisor. And what we do at our platform is we take the client, we take them through funding their trust, we set up their actual estate plan. We talk about who their beneficiaries are, who their trustees might be. We talk about what they want to do with their assets. And then they have a full-fledged legal review with one of our attorneys where they'll go through their estate plan and we'll make sure it's perfect. What we do during that legal review process is we edify you, the advisor. So we talk to them a little bit about you. We say, well, Chris is fantastic. When you go back to Chris for the final step, if you have any questions about your finances, if you have any questions about what to do with your insurance, I want you to have those conversations with Chris. And throughout this process of edification, we warm the client up to want to work with you moving forward. And then they come back to you at a final meeting to sign and notarize some documents. We do that because by the time they come back to you, the advisor, can see every single asset they have. And this is our magic potion for you guys. There is no law firm that can provide this for you, and no other digital platform provides this either. We use a specific set of laws that are Nevada based to allow us to fund the trust up front. And within that funding process, we have a list of every single asset. I was talking to Chris before we came on. I looked into a file yesterday that had $1.7 million sitting in a savings account. This was a family that had worked hard their whole life. They've accumulated some money, and there's $1.7 million sitting there doing nothing for them. I sent a message to the advisor. I said, although you can see the funding kit, I would hone in on the $1.7 million and see what you can do to help this family. Last week, I had a client with a file, 17 CDs that totaled, it was a little over $1 million, earning almost no money. And that advisor took that file, is talking to them about moving that money and doing better things to help them grow their finances. But this is all because, again, we edify you throughout the process. And the really neat part of what we do is we give you a list of all the assets. Why can law firms not do this for you? Well, law firms have something called attorney-client privilege. Prior to working with ITS, I had a lot of folks that would send me business in the insurance sector, in the financial planning sector. And you know what I could do for them when they would send me a client? I could say, thank you for sending me the client. Maybe I could take them out for a steak dinner, but that was about it. I could not give them any insight into the client's finances or their funding kit or what might or might not be in their asset base. I couldn't do that at all. With ITS, we allow you, the advisor, to be a part of that process and see all of that. So again, when they come back to you, they feel like you've given them a great service. You've helped them figure out what to do with their assets when they're gone. Because you know what? As America is aging, America is becoming less and less educated on these really important topics. Armen spoke very importantly on education. And education is a big piece of what we do for the clients. We educate them on what they should be doing with their assets. We educate them on how to make sure that the assets they've worked their whole lives on end up in the right hands without government intervention or legal fees. And you, the advisor, will have been a part of that really awesome education process for them. So not only are you, helping them figure out where their assets go, you've helped make a real difference in their lives. And one of the really neat byproducts we've seen from that is that the family members of the clients you help are coming back to the advisors and saying, I want one of these estate plans for my own kids, because a lot of times we're talking to grandparents, we're talking to, grandma, grandpa, and they're setting up an estate plan to take care of their kids and their grandkids. But guess what? Their kids who are the beneficiaries in their estate plan, they have families of their own. And when they realize that mom and dad are doing this for them, what do they want to do? They want to make sure that their assets go to the people that they care about. So it's been a fantastic lead gen resource for the advisors that have worked with us, and it's started to build a lot more ingrown leads. Another real quick thing I'll touch on, and then I'll let Chris and I kind of go back and forth a little bit on how you actually pick these leads up. We allow you to stay a part of the entire messaging back and forth of the estate plan. One of the things that we provide at ITS that law firms don't is continuous changes at no additional hourly legal fee. So the traditional estate planning client, if they want to go to their law firm to make changes on their revocable trust throughout their life, has to pay hourly legal fees. So every time you want to make a change on your estate plan, you have to go to a law firm, pay them $450, $500 an hour to make some changes. On our platform, those changes are made at any time from anywhere at no additional hourly fee. The client simply goes into a notepad message center and asks that we make those changes for them. And we make those changes within 24 hours and we don't charge them an hourly legal fee. What's really neat about that is you, the advisor, are part of that messaging system. So every single day, I see the nicest set of soft touches for advisors finding themselves into that notepad message center. Last Friday, we had a client of ours say, we just had a grandbaby, and we want to add our grandbaby to our trust as a primary beneficiary. What a fantastic way for that advisor to reach out and say, congratulations on your grandbaby, and then talk to them about, the grandbaby and or other services they can provide. We also see the bad side of that, where somebody in the family's passed away. That's a touch that you should be able to reach out to and give condolences for, maybe assist them with whatever you can assist them with when it comes to, one of the, two has passed away, one of the husband or wife has passed away. We see divorces, we see marriages, every single birthday is logged in there, new assets. We had somebody recently who said, hey, I'm selling 2 of my investment properties, and I want to know what to do next. Well, guess what? Those 2 investment properties probably total $2 million worth of liquidity that client was about to have. What a fantastic target-rich conversation for the advisor to be able to have. And us being able to keep you a part of that process moving forward allows you to have continuous touches and continuous lead gen methods within our database. So Chris, I'll stop there in case you have any questions on what we just chatted about.
Yep. Sorry, I got to find the right button. Yeah. So again, I think a couple of questions that come to mind, and then I want to talk about how agents get involved. We don't want them to be a lawyer, right? They don't need a license. They don't need to go get their law license. I mean, that's not what we do, right? We're agents, right? Can you speak on that a little bit more?
Yeah, exactly. So you guys are agents. We have a legal team that will answer all legal questions. We teach you guys answer 0 legal questions. We'll give you an education on what an estate plan does so you can speak, in an educated manner on it, but you just have to figure out the need. Does the person have an estate plan? Do they not? And if they do not, they need one. And I really chalk it up to 3 questions I ask people. I ask them, do you have assets that total at or near about $100,000? Typically, the answer is almost always yes. And if the answer is no, great. There's other things you can do for them. You can set up a simple will. You can give them powers of attorney. But for most people, they've accumulated over $100,000 of assets. So if the answer to that is yes, then the second question is, do you have people that you care about and love in your family that you want to leave your assets for? Almost always the answer to that is yes. I love somebody, my spouse, my kids, my, Uncle Jimmy. It's somebody that they care about. So if the answer to that is yes, the third question hits a little bit harder. The third question is, do you want that person to have to go through a long drawn out court system, spend money with an attorney, pay the government, and then potentially gain access to your assets? Or would you like them to get them right away without having to go through a law firm, without having to pay some of that money to the government? The answer almost always is yes. I don't want to put the people I care about through a difficult time. So if you can just ask those 3 questions and they answer them the right way, and almost always they do, then it's you need an estate plan. And by the way, we have the best digital estate plan that is at a reduced cost, gives you more flexibility. You can make changes at any time. And then you have yourself a potential lead. You don't have to know anything else outside of that. You don't have to learn the law. We will teach you the basics of, what will help you be educated, but zero legal background is required and zero legal advice is given by you.
Perfect. So
we give a lot of legal advice, but
you give a lot of legal advice. We do not, right?
Yes.
The question we learn is, that's a great question. When you talk to Mo, be sure you answer that or ask him that. Put it in the notepad. I think Mo hit on some things there, right? Those 3 questions, guys, this will be recorded. Probably I may get Mo to do them again, but those are 3 questions you can ask when you're doing your green sheet, when you're doing your fact finder. You can find out just your individual client if they have a need, right? So that's one way. The other way is the seminar process, right? So Mo, let's dive into that a little bit, because again, I think I would tell you, I gave you the stats of 105 trillion, expected to transfer. We know there's 10,000 baby boom or people turning 65 every day. I mean, this is not a trend. This is happening. This is today, right? We know what's happening. The seminar process, using Cindy, using Evan, reach out to us so we can get you started. But that's a multiplier, right? It's not a side product. This is a total business. You look at some of the agents, right? Everybody that's coming to Dallas will come to the orchard. Look at the agents in the annuity volume and the IUL volume that is now being written, right? 5 million, 6 million, $7 million. I mean, these are people that were already doing good. They have multiplied 10 times, 30 times. So the nice thing is, from a seminar standpoint, you're getting in front of 60 to 100 people, Mo, right? Yeah, assets of $500,000, right? Unbelievable. Assets of 500,000 or higher, right? You use the threshold of 100. When we do the seminar marketing, I know Cindy's looking to pull $500,000 or higher. How long would it take you to get in front of a person with that asset? How many leads? You don't know. They're doing it in 3 different sessions in an hour.
I'll tell you a fun story, Chris. So before working with ITS, I had shown up to do some seminars on estate planning, real estate. And if we got 10 butts in a seat at a seminar, we were like, yes, we got 10 butts in a seat. Right. My first seminar I ever did for ITS was at and it was with an advisor. It was at the Palatine Public Library, which is about 10 minutes from my house. And the folks at ITS called me and said, there's going to be 80 people at this seminar. I said, yeah, there's no chance there's going to be 80 people at the seminar, but I'll show up and help you guys out. I walked in there and there was 80 butts sitting in seats waiting to learn about estate planning. And the total assets of those 80 people totaled about $100 million. Because again, a lot of these folks are north of $500,000 because of smart target marketing. But they're folks that are 60 or 70 years old and have accumulated wealth over a long course of time. They are the people who have been doing the compounding interest for 20, 30, 40 years. And they have a lot of money. I'd say the average client I talk to has probably north of $1 million of net worth. And these are 80, affluent butts in seats wanting to learn about this because nobody else has taught them that. And now the advisor has that many at-bats with people who have actual assets. I've never seen anything like it. And I'm not just selling that. When I walked in there, Cindy and Evan's ability to get hot and strong leads to come and speak to you at a seminar is so strong. And estate planning is such an important topic, but it's also a topic that once you've taught it to somebody, you've made that life change for them. Like Armen was saying, if you can take somebody's debt and reduce it dramatically, you are a hero to them. On the same token, when you can look somebody in the face and say, when you pass away, your child or your grandchild or the person you care about is going to get your assets when you want them to get those assets. We're going to make sure that you don't have to worry about anything when you end up in a hospital, that you have the right powers of attorney in place. All these things are things that you are bettering their life by doing. So it's not a difficult thing to build a strong backbone of a relationship with them once you've given them this service. And again, when you've given mom and dad had the service, the 80 butts and seats, most people have 2 to 3 beneficiaries within their estate plan. That's about the average is 2, 3. I've seen 17 or 20 beneficiaries, but you get 2 or 3 per person. Think about how much that can compound and how many people you can touch and how much assets you can get under management or review if you're getting 80 butts and seats 3 times in a row. And most seminars that are set up are really 3 events. So it's 80 people, 60 people, another 80 people. So you're talking about somewhere between 100 and 200, people who are actually coming and sitting down at these seminars wanting to learn from you and that you're giving value to. It's incredible.
No, I agree. I'll tell the story when I met Scott Garcia. Andy sent me out. He said he had a plan for, or Don Runge. If you guys haven't met Don and you're on, we'll get you on the calls. You can meet Don. But Don said he had a way to implement trust, right? To do a seminar system. So I went to St. Louis, saw Scott Garcia, and my takeaway was there were 75 people in a library at 6:00 on a Tuesday evening.
Yeah.
Right. I told Andy, I'm like, you put me in front of a room of 75 people that are $500,000 or higher. I said, we're going to sell something. It doesn't really matter what we talk about. I said, we're going to sell something. But in this case, we have a viable option, right? And you mentioned it. I mean, in that room, Scott asked the question, who was the business owner? There were 4 business owners. One guy owned a Harley Davidson dealership, right? The assets were over 100 million combined. Guys, it's a game changer, right? If you're not involved, we are going to Dallas. I know, Mo, you'll be in Dallas tomorrow. We're doing an estate planning event tomorrow and Friday. Make sure you come, introduce yourself, gather some of that data, get more knowledge, because again, it is a game changer. I mean, guys, I've never seen anything like this. I'm like Mo. I've been in the industry. We've done seminars to get 10 butts in a seat. I had to buy dinner. I had to do different things. This scenario, from a cost standpoint, I'm not doing that. I'm not spending 10 grand on a dinner just to get somebody to come in and maybe talk to me. So much different, and then Mo, you mentioned it, and Armen, you guys can talk, but these clients that are estate planning clients, they have kids, right? They're, 3 or 4 beneficiaries. When you get the referrals, those are the people that you can talk to not only about estate planning, but you can talk about debt consult. I mean, there's so much more that's out there. I mean, Armen, Mo, I'll just kind of throw it back to you guys. Where do you see kind of both sides? Where do you see this marriage kind of from the estate planning, from the debt consolidation? How do you see that from an agent perspective? Where can they use that and leverage that?
Well, I'll tell you, we have a perfect tool that can segue into what Armen does. So we love giving the advisor data points about people's assets, but also their liabilities. So part of our platform, we have something called the postscripts page, where we urge mom and dad to go and say, and if it's a mom and dad or grandma, grandpa, hey, you need to go talk to your loved ones in this postscripts page about what your debts look like. Because guess what? If you end up in a hospital and you're incapacitated and you can't pay your bills, somebody has to be able to manage those bills for you. Somebody has to be able to pay for them while you're in the hospital. So we actually have really good data points within our system where if you can look at that and say, well, hey, mom and dad have some assets, but look, they got about 7 credit card bills they got to pay. And we think we can help you out. We can move some money around to make you more money. We can give you the right insurance. We've given you a great estate plan. By the way, we see you have a lot of debt. We have a way to alleviate some of that. You now are not just selling them, an insurance product or something else. You're making meaningful life changes for them. You're keeping more money in their pocket. You're potentially reinvesting money to help them out. And once the kids can see that you're doing that for mom and dad, it's very likely that the kids probably carry with themselves a little more debt, maybe a little more liability, and they themselves are also interested. And again, by doing good for them, I think by doing good for mom and dad, the kids are going to want to be a part of the business that you're putting out there as well.
Awesome. Armen, what do you think? You've been listening. I know you and Mo have had lots of conversations, and we were in Vegas, so you heard a conversation there. Kind of what are your thoughts?
So as I'm processing the information, I think that we tend to stereotype, and we tend to, let's use the word underwrite. Our mind underwrites the level of interest or the level of need, and we jump to conclusions based on what we see on the book cover, right? And the reality is not quite the same. I mean, 60+% of America is carrying credit card balances. a lot of those people make a lot of money. One has nothing to do with the other. They're smart, intelligent people. They're doctor, nurses that become clients of ours. Like one has nothing to do with the other, right? Life and circumstances and medical hardship, things get in the way. I had a client the other day. He was an engineer. Wife is a nurse. They make about $240,000 a year. And we enrolled him into our program. He was on a plan to pay back his private student loan debt over the next 20 years, about $500,000. With us, he's going to be debt-free in 5 years and pay back about 140 grand. That's a big difference, right? So, smart guy, 3 kids, stressed out. Wife was crying on the phone call. And the reality is that we have a lot of folks out there that are earning 6 figures and that have a lot of debt. So what Mo was saying is great, and you're right. It's hard to fill up a bucket with water if there's a hole at the bottom. The annuities, the estate planning, all these things, the accumulation of assets, they're wonderful. But I think none of it really starts for that family, for that generational wealth to happen one day until we patch that hole in the bottom of the bucket. And I feel like that's where there's a misconception. We see a nice car, nice house, and we're like, no, they're okay. Actually, they need help more than you know.
No, I agree. I'm going to give you guys my background because I didn't do that at the beginning. So again, I run Integrity Advisory Solutions. That used to be BAM for you guys who are familiar. But what we do every day is we help agents, we help clients from a financial planning standpoint, trying to build a plan so they can get from here through to and through retirement, right? That's kind of the conversation I have. Armen is dead on that it is very, very difficult for us to build a plan for a client for retirement when they're overloaded with debt, right? Because that debt just swallows them. You talk about clients that we underwrite. That's a great term. We underwrite when we see somebody. You think a client's got $1 million and everything's great because they've got $1 million. I met a client yesterday. She has $1.3 million and $80,000 worth of credit card debt. She doesn't know what to do with it, right? Do the math. $80,000. Let's say she's only paying 20%. Right. My guess is it's 28 or 29, but at 20%, she's paying back 16 grand a year, $17,000 a year. She's never going to get out of debt. We need to find a way to help that type of client. The 6-figure doctor, the 6-figure contractor, they're carrying business debt. They're carrying student loans. Absolutely. Till you finish that, it's very hard for us to do the estate planning. Am I saying don't do that? No, I'm saying have the conversation. Show them all of the things that we can do. You don't have to be an expert. We talk about this all the time. You don't have to be an expert. You just have to know who to call to help you answer those questions, right? So Mo, reach out to ITS, reach out to us, right? Estate planning at NAA Leads. We will put you in the right contact of the folks that can help you on the estate planning. Reach out to Armen. I know, Armen, if you want to put your slide back up with your contact, make sure you reach out to Armen and his team. Make sure you do that. Armen, I'm going to ask a question that came in, and you guys, you're more than welcome to text me with questions or put them in the chat. So what's the impact, Armen, for a client from, everybody talks about credit scores and things like that, but kind of what's the impact when somebody goes through your program? What's that look like for them?
So that's the $1 million question, right? How many points, Armen? How many points am I going to... Well, guess what? That's the wrong question. When are you going to stop wasting money is the right question. Or even a better question, when are you ready to stop spending money and stop wasting money? So those are two different things. There are our categories break down into a couple of factors here. So here's the contact slide. I'll leave this on for a few minutes while I address the credit question. It's a very, very, very loaded question because let's just say we have someone with debt and let's just say they're interested in speaking to us. Let's establish that category. That's the entire pool of people. So we have different sides. We have people that are paying on their debt every single month. That client you mentioned, they're paying close to $3,000 a month, the lady with $1 million. I don't know about you, but $3,000 a month for nothing doesn't make any sense, right? So there's people that are paying, and then there's people that already have fallen on hard times and they stop paying. So that's the first fork that we want to address. So to the person that's already fallen behind, it's a moot point. There's no reason to have that conversation, right? There's a different conversation that needs to happen with that person, and you need to know this. Creditors will sue the consumer to continue with their collection efforts. Depending on the state that you live in, depending on the statute of limitations for the debt in that unique state, creditors understand these things, and they also understand that when we sue you and take you to court, if you don't have legal protection, majority of the time they get a default judgment and they go for wage garnishments, they go for bank levies, they go for liens on properties. I've seen them all happen. Okay. Now there are also, an extension of, and this is technical, but I'm going to make a point here. There are some states where they can't garnish wages, and it's not non-garnishable states. There are some states that are community property states. There are some states where the husband is 1099 and he's not garnishable, but the wife is an employee and it's a community. So the point is this. The person that just says, I can't pay it, you're not done. They're going to get their money one way or another, right? So the reality is the urgency for that category of a client, they got to get themselves into a program that gives them legal protection. So that's really, really important. But those are the people that already have fallen behind. They already made that choice. Now, there's a different category of people, and this is the people that asked this question. They're struggling, they're stuck, they're making their minimum payments, they're robbing Peter to pay Paul, they're doing balance transfers, they're doing everything they can, all the creativity they've learned over the years to keep up with their payments, and they are maxed out. To that person, the answer is, well, respectfully, what credit? You're maxed out. You don't got any credit left, right? Now, there's other category, part of that main category of people that aren't maxed out. Their utilization is reasonable. They're in 20, 25, 30% range. So they have $100,000 worth of credit and they're using only about 20, 30,000 of it, right? That's what utilization means. To creditors, that means a lot. And that customer actually has good credit. Okay, so now that we've established, so we got people that actually have good credit, we got people that have debt, they're paying their debt on time, but they're maxed out, they have no credit. And then the question is, well, what is this going to do to my credit? So everybody is going to be affected differently. The person that's already late, there's no effects. The person that's maxed out, the effects are going to be decreased. The person that is that ideal, perfect credit, golden child customer, well, guess what? They're going to take a hit on their credit. But when we do a consultation with that perfect credit client that's low utilization, that's got six-figure income, they don't become our clients. There's only one extreme case I could see where somebody like that becomes our client. They went from 200 grand a year to 90K a year, and the choice is removed from them, right? There's other people that are literally living off of their credit cards. Whatever they got left, they're living off of it. Like their budget, they're at 115% a month in the red. And they're not going to become our client because they're living off of their credit. But guess what? That's temporary. At some point, you run out of credit, and now you're talking to bankruptcy lawyers. So again, it's a mindset shift. When you're sitting down with the client, the best approach, the best practice is remove yourself from the equation because you're not in a position to answer that. You don't have their credit. You don't know what their utilization is. They might think they have perfect credit, but they might have a 560 FICO score. The reality is that if we talk about credit, the referral never comes to us. Allow our team to educate the consumer, review everything with them, understand everything with them. And if it's going to destroy their credit, we're going to address it. If it's not going to affect their credit, we're going to address it. Majority of the time, somebody that's worried about their credit and they see how much money they're wasting every single year and they're not getting out of debt, they say these words. Yeah, my credit is not doing for me anything anyways. It's just costing me money. I got to temporarily take a step back, eliminate my debt, save some money, and then regroup and reestablish my credit. So nothing is great credit, temporary. Bad credit, temporary. Nothing is permanent and forever. Now, when we compare to bankruptcy, that's a different conversation, right? Bankruptcy is a public statement that says, hey, look, I can't pay my debt, public record. So you're not dealing with any of that. This is handled privately. Once it's all settled, then you can go through steps to recover, reestablish your credit. So nothing is like permanently forever. That's it. You could not borrow anymore. But the question is are you ready to stop borrowing, and are you ready to get out of debt, right? And that's what you introducing the client to us will help them realize. And some people are not ready, and that's okay. We don't pressure sell. There's no point. If we have to convince you against your will, you're going to leave a month later. We don't make money for signing you up. We're a performance-based firm. So
perfect. So again, I think if I hear you right, I think the question they need to learn to ask is, hey, that's a great question. That's something when you talk with Armen and his team, make sure you ask that, and they'll share that with you. Don't get into the credit conversation, right? Because again, that's a black hole. We don't control that. We don't know. We don't have enough information. Hey, that's a great question. When you talk to Armen and his team, make sure you ask that. They can explain that for you. So guys, keep it simple. Focus on what we do, right? We help clients, right? We help them, ensure their needs, get to retirement. Those are the things that we do. Armen and his team, they're another arrow in your quiver, right? They're going to talk debt. Mo, let's talk, kind of, we're going to start wrapping up a little bit, but, somebody that wants to get started within ITS, somebody that, starts, in the seminar process, kind of what are your thoughts? What should they be doing? Where should they go for knowledge?
Yeah, good question. First and foremost, your own team at NAA is fantastic. I work with a lot of different organizations across the country. I'm not just saying this because I love Chris, I love Andy, and I'm on talking to you guys. There is not another group out there that gives the back end support of training and teaching what we want you to know than NAA. It just doesn't exist out there. And I would say this on a Zoom anywhere for any other organization, because I've worked with Chris and Andy and Kat and your team for a while now. And so they have a lot of back end support. But you want to get signed up with us, we'll get you an ITS advisor ID number. And then every single Thursday, we have trainings on how to utilize our digital estate planning platform and our marketing to create leads. So reach out to Kat and Chris, get yourself a ID with us at ITS, and then be present on our Thursday calls. We teach everything you need to know on those calls. And we have a lot of videos. NAA's created a lot of videos. I've created a lot of videos for you guys. All of the marketing that goes into creating a seminar, we've already laid it out for you guys. You don't have to reinvent the wheel. Your own colleagues at NAA are also fantastic. I've never seen another group of folks that has more givers gain mindset than your own colleagues. I've worked with a lot of them, the Bells, the Kath, True Loves, everybody, Adam in your firm. They're all willing to teach this stuff to all of you on these calls as well. Mark Burrows, Brandon Bulis, all these are people, and I'm missing 1,000 names of people who are doing fantastic. These are all people who jump on these calls and help you, their colleagues, become successful like they've been. Because I've seen some incredible numbers of commissions and annuities through your organization. I've been privileged enough to become friends with a lot of the folks that are using our system. So they've sent me messages of how well they're doing. And it's been a blessing. And it's been a really cool part of my job to be able to be a small part of helping the folks that I just named grow their business within our platform and then also within your organization.
Perfect. Guys, I would tell you as well, and Mo, and I think Armen will back all this up, but from an estate planning standpoint, right, it's not an expense, right? It's an investment, right? Think of it as a lead source, right? We're trying to get in front of people. We're trying to help them from an estate plan standpoint. Yes, we get compensated, right? You implement a plan where there's compensation. So again, helps us. But the real dollars is linear, right? It doesn't follow a straight path. The more we do, the more we get in front of, the more opportunity we have, right? Just like Mo was saying, you're going to find the client that has 17 CDs with $1.7 million. You're going to find the client that has $3 million, right? $5 million. You're going to find those clients, but it's all about the process and the system, right? On Armen's side, it's the same thing, right? As you start asking clients questions, right, and ask that debt question, you're going to find clients that have debt. Now that opens that premium dollars, right? I think that's the biggest thing that when I hear it, right? Clients are always looking for a way to save money. If you do that and you become that trusted advisor, right? They're going to do business with you because they like you and trust you. I mean, I already even said that. I am going to throw guys my contact and Amber and Kat. Mo mentioned so estate planning at NAA leads. This is just our regular contact. And sorry, guys, it's coming out of my email, but it does have our QR codes. You should get all of that information. Guys, I'll just open it up. Armen, if you want to start, any closing, I'm going to put this up for a minute. Any closing thoughts, anything you want to make sure that maybe we missed, anything you want to reiterate for the group?
Closing thoughts. Use this as a tool to help build the rest of your business, help build relationships, help your new agents get paid before they're licensed. The ones that are licensed, use it strategically to increase your clients' premiums, make a fortune on selling life insurance as a result of that. Come find me at the convention. We'll make sure that you're set up for our online social media tools. I'll show you how to market it. I'll show you how to use it effectively. We'll make a bunch of videos together. And lastly, stay coachable, right? Stay coachable. And to me, that means, paying attention to what the leaders are doing and doing all that. And if I'm at this convention, I'm networking with everybody. I'm talking to everybody within the 3 feet of me, right? So love to see you guys. Thank you for the opportunity. We're very excited about this partnership, and come find me at the convention.
Yeah, and before you go, I want to go back. So we got to see Armen do the social media video in Vegas. You spent a minute, 2 minutes, you showed the agent how to log in. Guys, if you don't do anything else at NatCon, you need to make sure you find Armen and let him show you how to do the social media. I mean, it was so easy, and you're talking about something that can be an impact to drive leads. There's plenty of other social media stuff, but that to me was so impressive. You guys have it on your platform. It's ready to go. So guys, make sure you meet them. Make sure Armen said it, network. Make sure you meet people, get to know people before you need to know them. Right. So go out, network, come to all the vendor tables, get all that. Armen, you're going to be there the whole time. Mo, you're going to be there tomorrow. So Mo, I'll let you, any closing thoughts, anything like that. And then I don't know if you want to share any other contact, but again, we gave them the estate planning in a lead so they can reach out to us as well.
So, this is a quote from Andy, and I think it fits perfectly as kind of a transition to the end. It says, once assets are protected and trust is established, the next step is making those assets work smarter. So we're going to help you guys establish trust, give education, and then we hand it off to you guys to be able to make those assets work smarter and do what you do. My closing thought is, guys, utilize the resource that NAA has for you guys. Again, I don't know of another organization that's giving this much support to their advisors to help use our lead gen tool to get in front of this much wealth. I've never seen seminars, whether it was in my past working as a real estate broker owner or when I would show up and do seminars as an attorney for financial planners. I've never seen this much assets under management, this many butts in seats, and using that and the platform that we have that, again, edifies you guys, warms you guys up with a client throughout the process. We kind of bump and set it for you guys to be able to spike, the ball home. I'll be there tomorrow. My wife has some medical appointments on Friday, so I'll be in there for one day tomorrow. Come and find me as well. I'm going to be networking quite a bit with those of you that are already in the estate planning sector of things, or those of you interested in hearing more. And again, lean on your colleagues at NAA. That idea of, Armen was talking about reading books. My favorite book is The Go-Giver. It's a fantastic one. I think everybody should read it. The idea of giver's gain and helping one another grow in business is something that I hold near and dear to me. And at ITS, we help you guys do that in a partnership with NAA. And your colleagues are incredible at that. So talk to them. So if I'm not there, talk to the Bells and the Mark Burrows and the Kath Truloves and everybody, your colleagues there who are doing fantastic work. And there's so many other names there, but talk to them, get their experiences, and understand from them how lucrative this can be, and also how rewarding it can be again, to be able to set a family up to make sure that they go to sleep comfortable every night, knowing they don't have to worry about all the what if scenarios if something does go wrong and there's an accident or a death in the family.
Perfect. I'm gonna give a couple of few thoughts. Mo, you hit on it. I think Armen, you hit on it. Guys, you're not in this alone, right? We have the resources. Andy and Jane have put together the resources for you guys to go out and say, hey, I've got a client that needs an estate plan. Hey, ITS can handle that, right? I've got somebody that's in debt. Hey, Armen and his team can handle that, right? On the financial side, guys, if you're looking for annuity business, if you need somebody to do planning, our team is designed to help you guys from that standpoint, right? So you have all these resources. I'll mention Gina Hawks. Gina is there to help you guys on the IUL side. So we have all these resources that are out there. Take advantage. You have nothing to lose and everything to gain, right? So again, come to Dallas. We look forward to seeing everybody in Dallas. Introduce yourselves, come up to the tables, make sure that you find us, get contact information. That's what we're here for. We're here to help you guys. You can tell talking to these two guys, they are in the giving mentality, right? They want to help clients. That's the mentality that I think we go away with, and we go into Dallas getting to know everybody. So Mo, Armen, I appreciate you guys joining us today, sharing your thoughts. I know everybody out there listening has shared as well. But guys, we will see you guys in Dallas, and we look forward to a prosperous 2026. Thank you guys.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.